he's out of breath. Across the street are as good as dead. And close his eyes, he's breathing deep. Knowing what's ahead. Run, fat boy, run. And don't even try to make it back. Run, fat boy, run away. Run, fat boy, run. And don't even think of looking back. Run, fat boy, run away. He's the man who's in command. Likes his fries supersized. Brings it in to satisfy. Like he's Superman. At the track he smells the fear. Like a steamroller coming near. A gunshot rings out in the sky. There's a fire in his eyes. Run, fat boy, run. And don't even try to make it back. Run, fat boy, run away. Run, fat boy, run. And don't even think of looking back. Run, fat boy, run away. No time to get up. No time for second place. Come on, fire away. There's only one thing left to be. Come on, fat boy, running. Come on, let it all hang out. Come on, fat boy, running. Come on, give it all you got. Run, fat boy, run. It's all you think you stand a chance. Run, fat boy, run away. Run, fat boy, run. And don't even try to make it back. Run, fat boy, run away. Run, fat boy, run. And don't even think of looking back. Run, fat boy, run away. Run, fat boy, who am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be?
And welcome into the Tool Shed. I'm Warren Seegers with my lovely guest host, not guest host.
I'm not a guest host anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, it's been what, a month?
You know.
What's a girl got to do not to be a guest?
In the COVID-19 quarantine, I do not take responsibility for my inability to track any type of time. It's just one big long day. Don't you agree?
I would wholeheartedly agree.
I tell you. Well, today our topic is going to be home inspections. This is one of those things that still is kind of confusing to me, but it's something that you deal with all the time as a real estate agent, right?
It's confusing to a lot of people, actually.
So, I mean, are they mandatory?
They are not mandatory. They are, recommended, but it is up to the buyer.
Okay.
if they want them. Sometimes houses are listed as sold as is, but that doesn't mean that the buyer can't still have a home inspection. It just means that they can't ask the seller to fix anything.
Okay.
So
the whole point of a home inspection, and we're going to have Jeff Bliler on here in just a little bit, and Jeff, that's what he does for a living. He does home inspections, and I just had his card here. I want to get his company name officially right.
it's House Call of Northern Indiana.
Okay, there we go, because I
Yes.
always want to put call house. So it's House Call of Northern
House
Indiana.
Call of Northern Indiana.
And, but he does that all the time.
Yes.
And he's going to be coming in here, and we're going to be talking about, for the most part, he has a new product that they're working on that is really kind of important when you're talking about situations like we're having with COVID-19.
Yes.
And I don't want to give too much of that away, but you've done a little research because I was questioning you and picking your brain of like, what's the importance of home inspections and everything, but you've done some research and you've kind of got a top 10 list, or so to speak, of things homeowners should ask about home inspections.
Well, it's when you do a home inspection, you should there's things you should be specifically looking for. So, the one thing that we as real estate agents talk to our clients about is you have to be very careful about discerning what is major and what is minor. And the difference between like major and minor is really, major is something that would be considered a major defect. Something that, is going to be minor is you add that to your honey-do list. But buyers, when they're feeling with their emotions and buying a house, it's a very emotional process. They have a hard time a lot of times discerning the difference between the two and where to put those in each category and which bucket to put those in. Because something that really is a how-to and a honey-do list item, when you're feeling with emotions, they might want to put that in this major category of something to freak out and be like, oh, the house is falling apart. No. So, that is one of the main things when you get that inspection report from an inspector, is to ask them, okay, what does this mean? Your inspector is going to put every little nitty-gritty thing that they find and pick apart that house, because that is their job. But
they're not being nitpicky.
They are not being nitpicky to be mean. They are doing that so that what is there. But then you're going to ask that inspector, okay, is this a major item? Is this something I need to check with further? Is this something I need to ask the home seller to fix? And I know I've worked with House Call several times, and I know other inspectors do it as well, but House Call does a very good job of summarizing those major items on the front page. Those are those things that you want to ask the seller or to be aware of that you want fixed, but maybe before you close. Whereas all those other little things are things those are honey-do list items. So those are the difference. That's one thing that you really want to major, minor. Industry jargon. Don't be afraid to ask your inspector. They're going to put it in industry speak. They have to for legal reasons. Don't be afraid to ask them, okay, what does this mean? Explain it to me in regular general terms what your industry speak on this means. Don't be afraid to ask them. They'll explain it to you. They're very good about explaining that stuff to you. Ask what it costs. Cost of a home inspection goes by size of the house, different companies, set their price. So, ask what the cost of the house or what the cost is. Ask if there's additional things you want done. Radon, termite inspection. Those are all things for you to ask when you're getting a home inspection done. Big things you're looking: roof, foundation, mechanicals. Those are very important things. Those are the huge things that you really want to make sure are.
Roof, okay, so roof foundation, I get that. We all know what that is. Roof foundation. So what's holding the building up off the ground, what's keeping the elements out is the roof. Mechanical.
Water heater, furnace.
Garbage disposal, dishwasher.
Not real. I mean, those are things that, they're going to be important to you, yes.
But those aren't the key things.
Those aren't, your key things are your plumbing, your electrical, your furnace, your water heater. Those are your big items.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Of course, your house inspector, when they do the whole house inspection, they're looking at everything. But those major items are your, and you can choose to have someone just look at the major items versus, but,
So you could pick and choose what you want?
Yeah, it's up to the buyer.
Okay.
Like you
Who
said.
Who pays for it?
The buyer pays.
The buyer always pays. Because they make the request.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I think I'll ask Jeff a little bit more, have him explain the details of that also. I want to say hi to, Jeff also, and Sarah, his wife. They're watching here, the first part of the show. Jeff will be on here in a little bit. Steve, thanks for watching. John and Tony, that's who I got watching. Who's watching on your computer over there?
All right.
And while you're looking that up, we want to say thanks to One Gutter Guard Systems for being one of our network affiliates that carries our show every week, and we appreciate their support.
We have Lyle Lynn Hicks over here watching.
Okay, great. And we appreciate you watching. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking with Jeff Bliler, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth with home inspections and a new service that they are actually in the works of creating also. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us right here on the Tool Shed.
Ethan and Gizmo, best friends since July 7, 2011. Chris and Luna have been best friends for 2 years. Riley and Frankie have been best friends since 2017. Beth and Thurza, best friends since 2017. Your next best friend is waiting for you at the Elkhart County Humane Society. For more information on adoption, visit elkharthumanesociety.org.
And we are back. And I still hear myself in my earpiece. If you could cut that out for me, Coy. Everything's going off, just one of those days, right? So with me on remotely with the whole COVID-19 thing, we didn't have any guests for quite a while here on the Tool Shed, and we have overcome that hurdle. So we are going to start having guests back on our shows, and we are doing that remotely. With me is Jeff Bliler, who is with House Call of Northern Indiana. Jeff, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Warren?
I can hear you. You're looking good there. I noticed you trimmed the beard up a little bit since the last time you were here on the show. You look like a totally different person. Not bad, but just different.
Yeah, got the old COVID cut going on.
So tell me, Jeff, we've had you on the show before. Tell me the importance of a home inspection. I think I had said the way I look at it, it's kind of like when you go buy a used car, you take it to your mechanic to give it a one good look over.
Absolutely, and that's with a used car, which is a significant purchase, but not near the outlay over time that someone's home is going to be. A home is an individual's largest purchase that they typically make in their lifetime. So why wouldn't you take a little bit of financial protection to make sure that the house is a good investment financially and it's safe and healthy for your family?
Absolutely. So with the whole COVID-19 quarantine going on, how is business for you in the home inspections? Is it the same? Is it down, which most people, that's where it would be, or are things going well for you?
Yeah, unsurprisingly, things are down. The real estate industry in this part of the country is very cyclical. We're real busy in the spring and summertime. We're slow in the wintertime. And this year, we just never came out of winter. Houses are still being sold. Houses are still being listed. It's just not the volume that we typically see this time of year. We've noticed an industry slowdown of about 50% of where we typically are for this early spring season.
And would you consider that the whole COVID-19 social distancing is a cause for that?
Oh, it's a big cause of that. The governor has deemed real estate is still essential services, so we're able to go out, but we're limited in what we can do. We can't take real estate agents out on the home inspection with us. We're not allowed to have buyers on the home inspection with us. And there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, which has just kind of slowed everything down. There's still lots of buyers out there in the market, as I'm sure Penny can attest to. But sellers typically don't want a lot of people coming through their home right now. And we're finding that buyers are reluctant to buy a home sight unseen. So,
and that's a good point, sight unseen. Even though there's pictures that are online and stuff like that, it doesn't give you a really good, clear picture of what a home looks like. And of course, when we're looking at a home, it's not just the physically what we see in the home, but it's the stuff that you actually do, the home inspections, that kind of shows what's underneath the home or within the home. Now, you have come up with an idea for a service that would help during situations like this, where it's not so much in person, but you have sort of a remote inspection service. Explain that.
Yeah, one of the things that we've come up with to help bridge the gap during this time for both buyers and sellers is kind of a three-phase approach to help both parties put their minds at ease. Those three phases consist of, number one, what's called a pre-listing inspection, and going out and doing the home inspection from the seller's perspective before the house is ever listed and put on the market. The second component of that is a ozone-generated disinfection process that essentially sterilizes the home and all surfaces. And then the third phase is going in and doing what's called VR modeling, virtual reality modeling, so that from the buyer's perspective, they can log online and do a full virtual tour of the house, even though they can't be there physically present.
So now, talking about the three stages that you have, the first one, of course, being pre-listing inspections. And I noticed that you say pre-listing inspections. I'm assuming, after talking with Penny, that normally doesn't happen before a listing, that normally that's something that happens after. So is this something new you're trying to suggest or get people to get in the habit of doing a pre-listing inspection? And why would they want to do a pre-listing?
Yeah, it's not something that's all that new, but it is something that isn't real prevalent in our market. I see it a lot on the East and West coasts, but we don't see it so much in the heartland here. The reason that a seller would want to do that is, one, it gives them the opportunity to see what the inspector is going to see before a deal is brought to the table. So they can go through and identify on their own the little things, possibly major things, that need to be fixed, so that they can list that house with peace of mind that there's no major stopping points for the transaction. They can then take that pre-listing inspection and use that as a marketing tool to the buyers, saying, look, we've already had a home inspector come through here. These are the things that he found. These are the things we fixed with receipts and proof of repair. And that really tends to give the buyer peace of mind to go through with that transaction when they can't be there physically present to go through and do that repair inventory on their own.
So now, when it comes to a pre-listing, would that be on the buyer's dime or the seller's dime?
Well, this is a pre-listing inspection, so before the buyer has even come to the table yet. So this would be a seller's expense, and this three-phase package is something that the seller would purchase to make their house as marketable as possible to the buyers during this difficult time, unique time that we're going through right now.
That's really interesting, and I think it's a great idea. To me, it just makes sense. It's almost like if I'm selling a house and I have this done ahead of time, I'm not pulling any punches. There's no surprises for the buyer, and I think it might get a buyer to actually purchase my home if I were selling quicker on the whole idea of that. On the I want to go on to point number 2 that you have, full house disinfection. Explain that to me a little bit more, how that works. I mean, that's a totally new concept.
Sure. It's a new concept as it applies to residential real estate. The technology has been around for quite a while. Matter of fact, there have been studies done in hospitals with ozone generation. Police departments oftentimes will use ozone generation to disinfect the interior of squad cars and ambulances. What it is there's a piece of equipment called an ozone generator that essentially takes oxygen out of the air we breathe, runs it through a machine, and applies an electrical charge to it, which chemically alters the oxygen from breathable O2 oxygen to ozone, which is a single oxygen molecule. That single oxygen molecule is then hyperactive to reattach to oxygen that's in the air, and it'll take it from any place that it's available, including living organisms such as viruses, bacteria. And because of that, it will kill the viruses and bacteria that's in the air and on the surfaces in the home.
So that's pretty interesting that not only does it take out the bacteria and viruses that might be airborne, but it handles surface area also.
Correct. It does. Now, because of that, once the machine is set up, of course, there can't be any human contact in the home for a couple hours. We can't have pets in the homes. House plants, fish tanks have to be covered up. Any living organisms that are beneficial or that we want around can't come in contact with the ozone during the generation process. Ozone has a very short half-life and goes through its reattachment process fairly quickly. So within 2 to 3 hours of going through the process, the house is safe in most cases for people to come back into.
Very interesting. And of course, 3D modeling and the virtual reality tour, that's something that's catching on even more today. And I'm actually working with an RV manufacturer where I do 3D tours with their units. Going to do one tomorrow again. How popular is it though with real estate? I find most real estate realtors want to do the modeling themselves, and I'm not saying that they're doing a bad job. I just think sometimes you need to leave that up to the professional on that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Warren. It's a unique skill set. It's a very technical skill set and takes practice and education to be able to use not only the equipment, but also to construct the tours and so forth. And just like there's some guys who like to work on their car in the driveway on a Saturday afternoon, yeah, they may be able to change the oil and so forth. but are they going to do the best job at keeping that car running like a certified technician can? And anytime that you're going through a significant investment, it's best to get the best value for the money that you can. And a certified VR modeler who has experience with the software and with the equipment is definitely the way to go.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think you are on to a really good service here, Jeff, with this 3-phase pre-listing package. For anybody that's out there that is actually looking for a home inspector, how can they get a hold of you and to utilize your services?
Yeah, anybody who has any questions, please feel free to give us a call at House Call Home Inspection of Northern Indiana. Our phone number is 844-264-0404, or you can reach out to me directly at Jeff, Jeff, at housecallni for northernindiana.com.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you spending some time with us here tonight and being our first. You're kind of like the guinea pig when it came to our remote broadcasting here, because you're the first person we did this. It's been successful, and I really appreciate you visiting and spending some time with us tonight.
Hey, it's always great to learn a new skill set, and it's always great to be with you, Penny, as well. Thanks for being out there and providing this service, Warren. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, and we'll bring you back on the program again once your service is up and running, because I'm really interested and I want to see how that's going to go. So we will be back here after the break, and Penny and I are going to discuss some of these things on home inspection, so don't go anywhere, stay with us.
You begin as one. One person, one commitment. You sign the dotted line. You become part of something greater. Your service begins. Your mission begins. Your circle grows. You are supported by a network that understands. You return, but it doesn't stop there. Your exit is only the beginning. Your network continues to grow. You are connected to a legacy of blood, sweat, and tears, and with them, your service continues. Your new mission: fight to preserve the rights our brothers and sisters have earned. From enacting great change on Capitol Hill to providing much-needed support to America's veterans, military families, and our local communities, our strength lies within the heart of each individual member. We began as one. Now we are the millions who have served. We are the voice for veterans everywhere, and together we cannot be ignored.
Steve Clark.
And welcome back to the Tool Shed. I am Warren Seegers, and my lovely, what is the word I'm looking? My co-host. There we go. I couldn't think of co-host. So, but yeah, is that interesting stuff?
That is extremely interesting stuff. And I just had a virtual roundtable with my office at Remax today, and we were just talking about how we as an industry as a whole, as far as housing, has to adapt to what is going on right now. And, a lot of these changes I think are going to stick. It doesn't mean that we are not going to still be because our business is very personal when it comes to us dealing with our clients. But I think we're going to see a lot of things shifting to virtual just because of everything that's going on, or being able to do things virtually and still be able to maintain a lot of those very personal relationships. And a lot of these things I think are going to allow us to serve our clients even better, especially for timeliness. It's going to really help us time-wise. And one of the things that you've pointed out with the virtual tours, as far as the way that real estate agents can use 3D virtual tours, not only by right now with the crisis allowing agents to use those to show houses to buyers while they can't go in, and also allowing sellers to be able to show their house by also not allowing a heavy stream of people coming through. But once this is all over, it'll help agents be able to show buyers houses in a timely fashion by allowing them to eliminate ones that it may not have been a good fit, so they just don't go see them. They're like, nope, let's cross that one off the list, and now we're not driving to it. And so it's a time saver for everybody all the way around.
So I want to say hi to Devin out there. Hey, Devin, how you doing? Glad to see that you're watching. Now, I know you've talked about this. So the new thing is people are still closing on houses, right?
They are. I mean, it has slowed down there's many factors that would take a long time to go into it. It's not because the market has really slowed. There's a lot of other factors of why.
Right, but what I was getting to, they're still closing. People are still buying houses, but they're not going to an office for the signing of the closing.
No, they still are, but
it's called a curbside.
There are some offices that are giving the option to the sellers and the buyers if they want to do the curbsides for their comfort level. But one of the things that we talked about in our thing today is there are mobile notaries are new. It just hasn't been implemented yet. But that is coming.
But because of this whole situation, it's something that...
It's another new thing that is coming down the pike.
And it's not like it's something that's catching on. It's something that's needed now. So, how when we get back out there, do you think some of this stuff will become virtual? Like, do you think home tours are going to become a little bit more popular because of this?
I think a lot of everything that is happening because of this pandemic is going to stick. And will become more standard. We will be, as an industry, we will be using a lot more of, I think from the roundtable we had today, they said that there's a lot of things and a lot of agents that have bucked on catching up with technology, and this has kind of forced them to do so. And now that it's here, it's going to stick. You're either going to catch up with the times or you're going to be left in the dust.
There you go. I totally agree on that. I mean, it's one of those things. Yes, obviously it's bad that COVID-19, we're in this quarantine, but we always got to look at the silver lining in every situation. I think this is one of the situations where it's going to force people to do business slightly different than we're used to, and I think a lot of it's going to become more virtual. I mean, the Zoom meeting thing, I like it. And
I think that's a good example, because I think the reason that a lot of us in our industry have honestly fought a little bit against some of the virtual stuff is because it's an interpersonal industry. It's so important to develop a personal relationship with your client. And sometimes when you're doing that stuff virtually, it's really hard to do that. But what all this has shown us is all of the Zoom, the office meetings that you can have virtually has shown you can still develop that personal relationship and still embrace the technology. And I think a lot of people were afraid you weren't going to be able to do that, but the Zoom and all these things that are happening now have proven you can. Exactly. And you and I think that it's impersonal, but the new generations coming up, they've grown up with texting, they've grown up with social media. I don't think it's as big of a change for them as it is for us. They're used to doing the Snapchats and keeping in touch digitally. And for them, I don't think it's social distance, it's just normal life for them. So anyway, that does it for our time tonight. Do you have any final thoughts on any of this stuff that you want to share out there? Well, thanks to Jeff for sharing all that information on, home inspections, because again, you go to the professional of every industry to ask those questions. They're the professionals of that industry for a reason. So Thanks for sharing all his thoughts on that. It's great that we as an industry can share all of our information and knowledge. And I appreciate Jeff, he's taken this whole situation and he's coming up with a new product and service based off of the situation we're going through. I really appreciate,
entrepreneurs out there that are always forward thinking to overcome any hurdles that we have in the future. And this is one where I think he's really on the right track, even not in a COVID-19 situation or quarantine. I think just the whole pre-inspection and having the cleaning, disinfection, and then the virtual tours. I think that's a really good idea, just to move things forward in this new landscape of business when it comes to real estate.
Yeah, I do too. But you know what I think about all this kind of stuff is I always think that out of crises and these kind of things come innovation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't always practice it, I will say, because I'm a woman. I'm kind of that, but in the end, and the looking back and the hindsight being 2020, I always think, that's when people come up with their best ideas, is when they're in panic mode.
Absolutely.
So.
And I just want to thank Jeff especially for coming on the show tonight, because I don't think he realized it was a leap of faith, but this is a new technology that we were doing here.
But
had no idea how this was going to play out tonight, but it went well.
Out of all of this, because this show was catching on. We were doing great. People were loving it. But, the last few weeks, it was just us, because we couldn't really have people.
Which should say something about us, that we may not be as interesting as we think we are.
Oh, we're totally. You're great. Me. But, again, out of panic comes innovation.
Yes.
So I'm not saying we were panicking completely,
but we realized we had to get the industry professionals in here, because that's what the show was about.
Exactly.
And I'm just glad that Jeff said, "Yep, I'll do it."
And it went well. So,
it did.
Perfect.
Very good. All right. Well, that is our show for tonight. Hope everybody tunes in again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Facebook every week at 8 o'clock. And roughly. And if you're watching this on any of our affiliate Facebook pages that actually carry our show, please like and comment on their pages. And this week, our affiliates that we're getting the actual live stream are One Gutter Guard Systems, GardenHouseFlags.com, and of course, Jeff Bliler and House Call Home Inspections. So until next week, say goodnight, Penny.
Good night, Penny.
Oh, she got it right this week. Woo! All right. We'll see you next week, and DIY until you die.